And your combined time watching the game, have we seen a quarterback take the jump that we actually need Jalen Hurts to take? I mean, I can't really remember that many guys that said, okay, my arm got stronger from year to year.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen that many guys that said my anticipation has gotten a little better. We've seen some guys get a little bit better, but Josh Allen got a lot better, but he had all the stuff. He had all the ingredients. He couldn't put him in a pan and stir him up. Yeah. And he finally figured that out, and now he's an MVP choice. Jalen Hurts lacks a little bit of arm strength. I still think he lacks, because of that arm strength, lacks some confidence in where he wants to go with the ball. I think he will work his butt off. I think his confidence in understanding defenses and the offense will be much better. Can he get the ball there? That's the big question. All
right, look who we have. The man himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Brian Westbrook. B. West. You see that jersey hanging up behind him, man. What's up, Brian?
Can you guys see? What's up, fellas? My big old head is in the way, so you probably can't see it.
I agree with the big old head part.
Hey, we got 3 giant heads here, man, so don't sweat it, all right?
Let me show y'all my Villanova helmet right here.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
How do we know we were getting to that?
Let me tell you, one of, if not the greatest non-first-round picks in Eagles history is Brian Westbrook out of nowhere. B. West, walk me through this for a minute. When you're at the Matha, right? I know you were a 2-sport star, hoops and football. There was a knee injury, or else you might not have ended up at Villanova, right? You probably would end up at a big time, whatever we call big time D1, right?
Yeah. So really, my freshman year, I played on the freshman team, and for whatever reason, I didn't get any playing time, like 0 plays. Like, I mean, it's hard to imagine that you can't play on special teams, offense or defense, not one play all season. But I was able to accomplish that my freshman year. And I thought I was good. So that just tells you how good DeMatha is as far as the talent-wise. But my sophomore year, I got much more opportunities. My junior year, I was just being recruited by every school in the country. Every big football program. Most of them wanted me to play cornerback. They just saw me as an athlete, probably not a running back. And then that summer of my junior year, going into my senior year, I tore my ACL. I stepped in the groundhog hole, tore my ACL. And in 1996, that was a year-long injury.
Right.
So when teams hear that you tore your ACL, they're like, "Hey, I don't want him. I can't afford to give a scholarship to a kid that won't be able to play for a year." And so, I most of those schools said no. And so really, came down to 3 schools: University of Maryland, who was not very good; University of Richmond, and I had a couple of my buddies go there and play running back at Richmond that went to DeMatha with me, and Villanova University. And kind of as the story goes, Villanova came and saw me play basketball, and the coach, Stan Drayton, who's now the head coach at Temple, he said, "Listen, man, we want you to come." He kept coming to the games, and Morgan Wooten pulls me into his office. He said, "Listen, Villanova's here. I'm 100% sure they're going to offer you a scholarship." Now, this is during basketball season, right before a basketball game. So in my mind, being a Big East kid, watching Iverson, watching Patrick Ewing and Alonzo Mourning, I'm thinking Big East basketball doesn't get any bigger than that. And this is crazy. They want me to go play. And so the whole time I'm excited, jumping for joy. My coach is looking at me like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, "Coach, aren't you happy?" He was like, no, they don't. Of course they don't want you to play basketball. They want you to play football. And I'm like, at the time, I didn't even know Villanova had a football program, to be honest. It was a good shot. And listen, when I looked into it, when you look at Villanova as a school, it's obviously a great school, great business program, which I was in. But more importantly than that, it has a great network of people. And that's what, I'm seeing now. The network of people just in and around Villanova has been awesome. Over the last 20 years, I've just continued to reap the benefits of that decision. So it was a good decision. Ended up being a good decision.
I never knew the basketball
I never heard this
part of that, man. That's awesome.
Hey, B. West, in a perfect world, had you not blown out your knee, what college would you have picked when you look back at all those scholarship offers you had? Every kid who wants to play football for a college says, "You know what? This was my dream school to play for." Who would you have picked?
that was back in the day when Florida was just awesome.
Yep.
And Ward Dunn had just left Florida State. Similar size, kind of quickness type of thing. And so in my mind, and obviously Ward Dunn is a different speed level, right? I mean, he's just super fast. In my mind, I was a great candidate to go to Florida State and be the next running back there. So I that's probably where I wanted to go. Obviously, they were one of the best schools in the country at the time, probably paying their players the most in the country. Villanova doesn't pay, but just so we know, we get that clear. But yes, I probably would have at least tried to get to Florida State.
Well, Brian, just stay on Villanova for 1 second. Jay Wright stepped away, as we all know, and I know how tight you are with Jay and the program. What are your thoughts on the way that shook out for Jay?
Great career. Jay Wright came in, I want to say my junior or senior year at Villanova, probably my junior year at Villanova. So to be at one school and have the type of success that he had for 20 plus years, I mean, that's just amazing in and of itself. And I didn't even know this. And when I was with Jay a couple months ago, he said, listen, there was a couple years in the early 2000s when it was either win or you're out of here type of thing for Jay Wright. Mm-hmm. And obviously, if that happens, then you don't have 2016, 2018 for the championship. But what Jay has meant to the program has been something special. Jay, let me say this. Villanova is a special place, right? Mm-hmm. You're not going to get the one and done guys. You're going to get the guys that may be at McDonald's All-Americans, but they're kind of on the lower end of McDonald's All-Americans. Mm-hmm. But those are guys who are going to go to school for 3 or 4 years. In this past season was Jay Wright's best coaching job. I'm talking about better than both of the national championship teams. He was less talented this year than he was in either one of those years. And somehow he coached his way back into the Final Four. He got 5th and 6th year guys playing against lottery picks to be able to win games by guards that are 6'1", 6'2", backing guys down to the back, pump faking, using their fundamental up. And I mean, that's coaching. That's
6'7"
guys
centers
that have been in the system for so long have figured out how to play together. I mean, listen, I appreciate all that Colin Gillespie did, Player of the Year, all this different stuff. But there were so many more athletic teams out there than what Villanova put on the floor this year. And they still made it to the Final Four. And that's all Jay Wright. That's his ability to get the best out of his players. And what he means to that program is this. When you drive past Villanova now, you see the buildings, you see the new this, the new that, the new Finneran Center, that's because of Jay Wright. That's because of his impact in those winning years that he was able to win. And that's why they're also keeping him very close to the program. And so I'm just happy that he's staying close to the program. Obviously, his impact has been huge at Villanova.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this, man. I'm sure you've heard from, what Miles Sanders said about, all these All-Americans, on the squad. Mm-hmm. I mean, do you see anything wrong with him being that confident and the guys around him? Or, should he have been quiet? Because it's not exactly like a Vince Young statement, but it's almost at that Vince Young level. What do you think about that? Especially with Miles Sanders being a young guy.
Yeah, he's a young guy. I mean, I like, to me, trash talk, kind of bragging never bothered me at all. Listen, as long as you're working to back it up, that team with Vince Young is not as talented as this team, truth be told. So it never really bothered me. Now, the one thing I know about Miles Sanders now is this. He got to stay healthy. He hasn't produced to the level that I think his talent should be at. But I also believe that he works his butt off. And so as he's out there grinding to get better every year, if you want to say a little bit, I'm cool with that. But now you got to go back it up. So if that's how your method to your madness have to back it up, put pressure on yourself and on the team, I'm cool with that. I mean, if that Miles wants to do that, I'm cool with it. It doesn't necessarily bother me probably as much as it bothers other people. But I'm also a guy like, listen, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we're successful. I'm going to do my job. And now if everybody else feels the same way, then collectively we're going to be better. We're going to be a much better football team. And I think that's what he was getting at.
Okay, B, let's stay with Miles for a minute, because this is your wheelhouse and you had to go through this a few times in your career. This is a money year for him, okay? Now, obviously, he's thinking that I've got to prove doubters wrong who claim I'm not durable. Mm-hmm. I know how running backs are perceived in the National Football League right now. They're a dime a dozen. They're not the big money players that they once were years ago. What should his mindset be every day he steps on that field whether it's practice or a game, to prove people wrong, but not step out of the concept of what they're trying to achieve as a team. Because it's very easy to start thinking about, I'm playing for me, and stepping out of the concept of playing for the team and trying to help a team win.
You guys are probably going to hate this answer because it's so basic, but I truly believe it. As a player, there was a point in my career where, of course, the big focus was my team, but also the smaller everyday focus was, how good can Brian Westbrook be? Mm-hmm. How can I push myself to the point where I'm exhausted every single day? And I also knew that if I exhaust myself on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday becomes easy. Mm-hmm. And as a player, you get that starting role. That some guys, they start to coast a little bit. Okay, I'm the starter, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And Miles has to, and I don't doubt that he is, but he has to push himself to exertion every single day so that the games become easy. The other part about that, and again, I don't doubt him saying, I'm injured, too injured to play. But there's a point in everyone's career, and B, you understand this, that you're about 60%, and it's Sunday morning.
Yeah, right.
Back in the day, now this is back in the day, they don't do this anymore. Back in the day, that 60%, you take the shot and you shoot up to 90, 95%.
Yeah. Let's tore it all.
Yeah, those days are over. I don't think they can do that anymore. But there's a point where you're around 60% when things just don't feel good. I remember, I don't know if it's a playoff game or not. We were up in the Meadowlands and we were walking to the bus, and I could barely even walk. I mean, I barely could even walk. We were warming up, and I'm just limping throughout the warm-ups. And the game time came out. That was the game. I caught a couple touchdowns, ran a couple touchdowns. It just worked out, and I don't know where the heck it came from. It just worked out. Miles has to start having some of those types of moments because injuries are what's slowing him down a little bit. And if you're not on the field enough, and plus you're not touching the ball enough when you're on the field, it starts to make you at the end of the day, it's going to affect his money. So he has to start pushing through some of those injuries just a little bit. Being able to play is going to be critical for him. Talent is there. I've seen the talent in pieces. I've seen the talent in moments. Continuously showing that talent is going to be the deal for Miles. And if he can do that, then he'll have a special season.
Bro, this man, our chat, man, they ruthless, dog.
These people are brutal, man.
Daz Deals just said Miles Blue Tint Sanders. Bro, they're savages, man.
It's rough. It's rough in these streets, man. It is rough in the chat streets, man. There's no doubt.
How about Jeremiah Butler talking goofy to the media? Shut the F up and get to work.
Oh, boy.
You know what? I think the other thing will help Miles, and this is something he's just not good at. And I've told Miles this to his face. I've mentioned to him before. The guys that are getting paid, just think about the guys that are getting paid in the NFL. Derrick Henry, but Miles Sanders is not 6'3", 6'4", 250.
No.
Other than that, it's Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara. What do they do well? They expand the field by catching the ball.
Yeah.
And to truly get the type of money that I think everybody wants, every running back wants $8 to $16 million a year. To get the money that he wants, he's going to have to develop in that passing game. And, as of yet, he hasn't developed that skill enough to be effective in the passing game. If he can develop that and then use his breakaway speed a little bit more, I think he can get paid and hopefully stay here in Philadelphia.
Brian, you were a very complete running back. I mean, you could catch it, you could run it, you could block. And the blocking part, I think, is overlooked sometimes. Did that come natural, or was that your great coaching at the Matha, at Nova? Like, you were that guy when you got to the Eagles, right? I mean, how did you develop all phases of the game?
I was at a point in the league where right before the transition to catching and running backs, right? I was with Eddie George and Jerome Bettis and, Andrew and James, where those guys were getting 25 carries every game. That was the style. Now, as I go back to Villanova, they said to me, listen, we're going to hand you the ball, but we really want to throw it. So you're going to have to understand defenses. You're going to have to understand coverages. Where are the safeties at? What are the cornerbacks doing? They gave me the opportunity to go play in the slot. If I go to Florida State, if I go to one of these big schools, they're probably saying, hey, we're going to hand you the ball. We got All-Americans to play out there.
Right.
But because I was at Villanova, that allowed me to hone some of those skills, learn some different things. And then when I got into the NFL, Andy Reid said, okay, well, here's some things we can try with you. Deuce is going to be the running back your first couple of years. maybe we can put you in the slot. Maybe we can put you in different positions so we can use your speed and versatility. And then he was like, well, we'll try you at running back too, since you are a running back. We'll give you the ball every now and then. And I was able to show my skill there. And that's how it kind of happened for me. But, you know, those types of things, those skill sets do not happen overnight. They are not just developed by accident. Those are things just like accommodating, just like, you know, offensive line work. Those are skills that you work on daily so that, and when you get in the game situation, it comes natural for you. I was able to develop that over time.
Yeah. You know, I look at this team, and potential is everywhere, man. But how much can they rely on potential? You know what I'm saying? Especially with they don't do as much. You know what I'm saying? I hate to be that old man, you know, get off my yard, but I don't see them working enough. I mean, they work hard when they're there, but how much time do they spend there? You know what I'm saying? Like to forego a week and not bring guys in, just at least be around, even if you don't practice hard or don't do anything, just having guys there in the building. They don't do that anymore. How do you get your bodies hardened to the rigor of playing in the NFL season if you're not there enough? I mean, that might be some of the problem what's going on with Miles and also a lot of guys there.
Well, I mean, I'm at the point in my life that potential means nothing to me anymore. Like, yeah, you got potential. That's cool. Let me know when you're going to develop into what you can be, you know, and obviously when you talk about young kids, it's different than pros, but potential, I need more. I need you to show me what that potential is leading to. So I need that. You know, I was just having this conversation with Ike Reese and Brian Dawkins the other day about practice. And I remember my rookie year, we had 3 days. I remember Andy Reid, which, I mean, this is again, we're talking 20 years ago. Things are totally different now. These coaches are talking about the analytics. What did the stats say about practice versus rest? And what's better for you? We're from the old school where there was no rest. You get the rest in between these 50 practices that we're going to run. And so it's a little bit different now. You're dealing with different athletes now, more specialized athletes. So it's totally different. I hear what you're saying, B. I don't know. Brian Dawkins said this. If you're a boxer, then we just had this conversation. If you're a boxer, but you never spar, right? How do you get your body, your face, your chin hardened to a punch? If I go out there right now and get tackled by somebody, I probably fall over and die.
Right.
In a long time, right? In order to get used to being tackled and to tackle somebody, you got to go tackle people. That's what you got to go do. Brian Dawkins said it like this. He said, there's a point where I got to launch my body into you to try to knock that man over. When I find that point, the only way for me to find that point is through practice. And if you don't do it in practice, then when do you do it? Now, my next question with him I remember my rookie year when you found your launch angle at my head in practice. I didn't even have the ball. I was in the third string offense, and you just launched at me. Hey, don't worry about it, Wes. I was just playing. I was like, no, you rung my bell in practice. I wasn't even paying attention. So that's just the way it is for the young guys. But
I was just playing. Okay.
Yeah, I was just playing. Don't worry about it. I'm worried about
my goodness.
Things are different.
Look, I got to ask you, Brian. I mean, it's required by the FCC. How good is Jalen Hurts? What do you anticipate from Hurts this year?
That's the big question mark. I saw Jalen Hurts on Saturday, and all he was talking about was how much he's working out, what he's done. I don't doubt that. I think just like Miles Sanders, he's a worker. The big question is, have we seen anybody take the jump in the career? And you guys have been around game combined over 100 years, especially D Gun. D Gun is 75 years old. So I gotta talk bad about D Gun because he always texts me.
About
crazy.
Time you got a shot in there. Nice. Yeah.
But in your combined time watching the game, have we seen a quarterback take the jump that we actually need Jalen Hurts to take? I mean, I can't really remember that many guys that said, okay, my arm got stronger from year to year. I haven't seen that many guys that said my anticipation has gotten a little better. We've seen some guys get a little bit better, but Josh Allen got a lot better, but he had all the stuff. He had all the ingredients. He couldn't put him in a pan and stir him up.
Yeah.
And he finally figured that out. And now he's an MVP choice. Jalen Hurts lacks a little bit of arm strength. I still think he lacks, because of that arm strength, lacks some confidence in where he wants to go with the ball. I think he will work his butt off. I think his confidence of understanding defenses and the offense will be much better. Can he get the ball there? That's the big question. Again, I haven't seen very many people do it. I think if there was anyone that could do it because of the work ethic, it would be Jalen Hurts, though, because I know he's going to go out there and work hard every day. The expectation is high. The talent level is high. He wouldn't have been in Oklahoma if it wasn't. I mean, Alabama and Oklahoma if it wasn't. There's a reason why he's here. I just need him to take that jump, because this is what we do know. The last 4 teams over the last 10 years, the last 4 teams surviving, 3 out of 4 of those teams had a really good quarterback.
Yeah.
And our success obviously is going to depend on what Jalen Hurts brings to the table. If he can bring something to the table a little bit better than he did last year, then that changes the conversation of this team. And obviously that's why we're asking the question.
Yeah, but B, I'm of the mindset that even if he doesn't improve significantly in terms of arm strength mechanics, you can manage a game. History has shown that you can be a manager of a game, and if you have enough talent around you, you can win a lot of football games. Mm-hmm. For me, beyond the arm strength, it's decision-making for him, going through the progressions, reading the defense, not being like a rabbit flushed out of a bush and staying in the pocket a little bit longer and wait till one of his receivers frees up and get him the ball instead of taking unnecessary shots. Those are the things that I want to see from a Jalen Hurts, more so than can he throw for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. Because if he improves on those little things, the other numbers will come.
Well, I hope that's the case, because those things that you're talking about, those are things that I think you can improve on. Those are things, if you see enough defenses, you can say, okay, I know what this defense is. I mean, I just remember, and this is from a running back's perspective, so I'm trying to put it into a quarterback's thought. But when Deuce Staley stayed after practice my rookie year and said, this is a cover 2 shell, and this is a cover 4 shell, and you got to watch the safeties. After a certain amount of reps in practice and in the film room, I started seeing it. And once you start seeing it, that's when the game slows down. Everybody wants the game to slow down. Once the game slows down, and B, you understand, you're at a tackle position, guard position, you start seeing people moving, you already know what's happening. You got to snap this guy and go to the next guy. Exactly. That's generally what happens for quarterbacks too. Now, if he can improve in that way, then now if his anticipation improves, now maybe the arm strength isn't as big of a deal, because he already knows where the defense is at and where he wants to go with the football. So in that aspect, D-Gun, if that's the key factors, I believe he can improve in those factors. I really do. Right. Just over time and reps, I think he can improve, but it's going to take some time. And hopefully, to your earlier point, hopefully the coach keeps the doggone practices on so they have enough time to improve. Because I'll tell you this, and I said this last year, why isn't our quarterback that hasn't really been a true starter in the NFL, why isn't he having preseason reps? Because to me, those reps matter.
Yeah, they do.
And why aren't you doing it in practice as well as in preseason games? To me, I'm still at a loss for that. It's a different time and place. They did this kind of the practices where you go back and forth with the other team. But there's nothing like putting it on a game uniform, walking out on the game field, and getting real game reps.
Well, you know why? Because of the injuries have increased so significantly over the last 5 years. You see more and more teams that are holding their starters out for whole preseason now.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that doesn't blame them for doing that, but for teams that are trying to build, see, when you're a team like Kansas City, Tampa Bay, Green Bay, you already know what you're getting. You don't need your frontline players because you've got that nucleus. When you're an evolving team.
You just said their coaches, all their coaches make their starters play at least 1.5 preseason games.
But when you're an evolving team, and I know it's a crapshoot, and you're spinning that roulette wheel when you talk about injuries. When you're an evolving team like the Eagles, you need to get those frontline players those game reps before you hit the ground running in a regular season.
I believe that, but I'm old school. Nick Sirianni.
You old? You definitely old.
I looked at Nick Sirianni the other day, and I'm like, how old is this kid? Like, he's just a beautiful man.
I did the same thing, man. I looked at
how is he the head coach? How does that happen, right? And so listen, it's a young man's game. I understand it. Different type of philosophy. That's just part of it.
Bro, I looked at when I was up there at camp the other day. I mean, when they were in camp, I looked around like, I'm older than just about every coach. Coach Stout, the only guy I'm not older than, in there. I'm like, this is crazy. But, man, you're right, though. That's how you become hard. That's why it usually takes 4 games for you to know what type of team you are. Those 4 games, after you play in the preseason, you go into 4 games. That's when you gain your identity. That's why it took them until the 8th game to get the identity this year, because they didn't do enough in the preseason, and they had to catch up all the way to the 8th game. So, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm get off my lawn. That's all I'm gonna say. Get off my lawn.
Well, here's the other thing that changed for them. If you go through the preseason and treat it the way that old school players want you to treat it, maybe you see a little bit earlier in the season that Jalen Hurts is just not ready for this heavy passing offense, and maybe you go to the running offense a little bit sooner, and maybe that just changed how things end up in the season. I mean, I don't know, but you end up being one of the best running teams in the league. But you started the first, 5 or 6 games trying to throw the ball. Maybe you learned that in the preseason, like, hey, this ain't going to work. We need to do something different for our quarterback. And maybe he gains a different type of confidence, and that changes how the season plays itself out. I mean, it can go a lot of different ways, but perhaps that actually happens.
What a great point. What a great point. Brian, before we get you out of here, we appreciate a couple minutes today, man. Yeah. I know you're a big Sixers fan, and you've watched everything unfold with Simmons, and Harden's here. Apparently he's going to do him a little favor on the front end here and allow him to make some moves. Just what are your thoughts generally kind of where they're at right now?
I'm a little uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie to you. I love Joel Embiid. Think he's a great player. I mean, I don't want to argue this point, but I think it's just the truth. It's hard to win when you're built around the center. I just think in our league right now, there's no other teams that are having the success that we need to have that are built like that. So you got to build around guards, in my opinion. You're going to bring James Harden back. You still need another. You still need somebody else. Now, I was just with Tyrese Maxey this weekend too. You still need another guy. And if you can't find that guy, I think we're back to the same point that we were last year. No matter how good Harden is. Harden could be 32 a game. I still think we're a guy short if we don't add another guy. I love the one thing that I was a great bright spot last season. I saw Tyrese Maxey develop into a guy that started to make me think that he may be that guy that I'm talking about. And so now if he is, they have to add some more weapons off the bench and things like that. But I still think they're a guy short. And when you talk about some of the firepower in this league, if you don't have 3, or unless you got somebody special, obviously Steph Curry is special, unless you have someone extremely special, it's just hard to win and get out of that second round if you don't have 3 guys that can go and do it.
Hey, Brian, B, how's the horse farm doing?
The horse farm is great, man. I'm in Brooklyn now, but we're headed now to Maryland this weekend to check on all the babies. It's hot. It's hot down there. It's all grass, no shade. It's hot down there. But, again, that's a labor of love, man. That's my relaxed time. That's my peaceful time. I'm going to get down there and go fishing. I know you boys know about fishing. I'll be seeing the post, the big fish.
Oh, forget it. Yeah. Fishing and grilling, Brian. Fishing and grilling, man.
Look, I don't know who caught those fish. I just see everybody taking a picture with the same fish.
Look at D-Gun's background, Brian. Look at those fake fish that he has.
Look at that, man. Look at that. There you go.
Look at those babies back there.
Look, all I know, go, man.
Yeah, all I know, he's been lying to me for 5 years, talking about D-Gun, let's go fishing. And then he'll tell me, I'll have my people call your people. I ain't heard from his people yet.
Hey, listen. Speaking of lying,
here we go.
Have you ever seen D-Gun on the grill pictures? You seen the pictures, right? You never seen a video of him actually doing anything on the grill.
Yes.
Listen, I'm trying to tell you right now, this whole grill scene, this is all fake. It's a facade. His wife is actually on the grill. He's pretending that he's on the grill. I don't know what's going on.
That is a great point.
I see if you turn around, if you pan around and view, you'll see the styrofoam boxes that he went to. He went to a restaurant and got it.
Exactly.
B West just bad because I haven't gotten him ribs yet.
I don't know, man. I think he just uncovered something. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Mrs. Gunn, if you want some chocolate chip cookies,
that's right.
Tell it. Mrs. Gunn.
Tell it.
Brian,
hey, man, we appreciate it, bro.
Way to expose that Rob,
before I go, we even got him to try. Now, Brian, I still can't get over this. He refuses to eat Reese cups. He can't fathom peanut butter with chocolate. So I even got him to eat one of my wife's chocolate chip cookies with the Reese on top of it. Yes. Yeah. And he's stubborn. He wouldn't admit it. Well, he admitted it reluctantly. This is pretty good, but I can't eat peanut butter with chocolate. So come on, man.
Reese's, listen, chocolate and peanut butter don't go together. I don't
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. We've been fighting this for a year
today because of that.
Oh my God, Brian, great stuff, man. Thanks for a couple minutes, man. It's good catching up with you.
Yeah,
Take
man.
care.
All right, you got it. How about he's calls you out for your grilling too, man? He's unbelievable.
Oh man, I'm surprised he didn't do it early. First, D-Gun, where my ribs?
Oh God, Barrett, great tip, man. That was fun catching up with
bro.
Brian.
I mean, it's the stream, man. The stream put pressure on me, man. Like, when is Barrett going to get something, man?
And those
guys got the stream in cahoots with you, bro.
I know they don't play around. That's
Rob, man. I ain't do it better than Rob. I ain't do it.
Mean streets. Yeah.